Welcome to another episode of 101. How you guys doing today?
Doing well. How are you, Christian?
Pretty good.
Family, of
Sure.
course. Right there.
Alright.
We ready to go?
Yep. The 76ers recently traded for Jimmy Butler, and with Butler, Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid on the floor. Are they the best in the East? Jonathan.
Oh, of course not. Let me just say that is a disrespectful, asinine, rude question. They lost to Orlando, the Orlando Magic, in Butler's debut, with Simmons, Embiid, and Butler all playing in that game, and there were several times where they were all on the same floor, and you lose to the Magic, and they were winning by so much there. I cannot believe they lost. They went ice cold, let Orlando come back late in the fourth quarter. That should not have happened. But back to answer your question, they're definitely not the best in the East. The Raptors and the Celtics are still the two best. Now, personally, I'm having a inside debate. My alter egos are wondering, are the Celtics better or are the Raptors better? I can make a case for both, but I'll stay with the 76ers for now. They gained Butler, but then they still lost a bunch of key starters. They lost Saric, who is he's a decent big man, especially in today's NBA. They lost Covington, who he's a pretty good shooter. He has a shot at times, and he was the key to their perimeter game. The 76ers now, with losing some of those guys, they have no perimeter offense. They can't score from outside. Embiid, he's an okay shooter. He's a good shooter for a big man, but he's not the kind of guy who's going to burn you from the three. Simmons, of course, he's one of the... I'll go ahead and say he's probably the worst three-point shooter in the league, and I think he knows that. He can definitely work on it and improve on that and become a great player. And then Butler, he's good from three, but he's not quite elite. His specialty is defense. So the trade made them nowhere near the best. It's still the Raptors or the Celtics. Again, they're still both better than the 76ers.
All right.
The 76ers need a perimeter game in order to be the best.
Christian.
Simple answer to that question is I have to see more.
All right.
I'm not even gonna talk about those two games because usually when you have like a big three and a new player comes in, you need time to gel.
Of course.
LeBron and the Heat, they had a bad start to the season when he came to Miami. So I'm not even gonna speak about those two games because they do not matter.
Sure.
They have the potential to be the best team in the East, but right now they are not the best team in the East. Simmons, Embiid, and Butler all have to be at their best at the same time. They all have to improve, especially Simmons in his shooting. And there's a question if Butler is going to be able to be as dominant because Ben Simmons is a ball-dominant point guard. But these three guys can all play at an all-star level, and they can get to an all-star level, and they could be a very dangerous team come April. With that being said, at this point, I still have Toronto and Boston ahead of them. We talked about Toronto last week, and they're a very good team with Kawhi. And with the Celtics, remember last year when the Sixers lost to the Celtics in the Eastern Conference quarterfinals?
Shameful.
I could see the Sixers maybe getting to game 6 or 7 with Butler on the team,
Sure.
but not winning it. And Kyrie didn't even play.
Exactly.
And so
Hayward didn't play.
Yeah, Hayward didn't play either. So, and I know the Celtics are struggling right now, but they're gonna get it together. Brad Stevens is a good coach. And the Sixers could win the East, but right now I have them around 3rd in the East, maybe 4th with the Milwaukee Bucks.
One thing the 76ers should look at as encouragement is Kevin Durant's first game in Golden State. I believe it was against the San Antonio Spurs. Correct me if I'm wrong. This was KD's debut as a Warrior, and they lost to the team. I'm pretty sure it was the San Antonio Spurs. I may be wrong. But they did lose that first game, and that was with KD, Curry, Thompson, Green, all of those guys. It was their first game, the beginning of what we call the Big Four. And it didn't work out immediately, and this might not work out immediately. It might not work out at all. It might work out to be great someday in the future. But
all right, let's move on.
We can't expect it to be perfect off the bat.
It's time for a special segment called Panic or Patience. We will say 3 teams and then decide if their fans should have panic or patience about their playoff hopes. First up is my Miami Dolphins at 5-5, but having lost in 5 of their last 7 games. Panic or patience? Jonathan.
Cue the patience music, Hanley. louder. There we go. There we go. Can y'all hear that? That's my soothing music. And the Miami Dolphins, they can play their soothing music right now. They have 6 games left. They're 5-5. In a third of those games, time for some math, 1/3 of their games remaining are against the Buffalo Bills, who I think are definitely one of the worst teams, if not the worst teams in the NFL right now. They have 1 against the Colts. It is in Indianapolis, but I think the Dolphins can win that game. And they have 1 home game against Jacksonville, which I think they can definitely win, considering Jacksonville's offense has been weak this year, and their supposedly great defense has not been at their best. They also have a home game against the Patriots, which, historically, they've usually sometimes been able to come in and win that game. I think the Dolphins can finish 10-6. I think they can go 5-1 for the rest of the season.
All right, Christian.
Definitely 11-5. There's no need to panic.
Christian.
I'm going to go patience as well, and this is not normal for me because I'm a Miami Dolphins fan, and I usually like to say every year our season's done, because it usually is. But the Dolphins, something to remember here, the Dolphins thrive on big plays. And they're struggling to do that on offense right now because Brock Osweiler cannot throw the deep ball.
Yeah.
Hopefully Tannehill will get healthy, and he's a much better thrower of the deep ball. Right now, they probably, like you said, win 5 of their last 6. 4 of the last 6 are teams with losing records, and they have beaten New England at home 4 of the last 5 years. So I wouldn't count on them winning 5 out of 6, but they definitely have a shot. It's not panic time yet.
All right. Next up is the Green Bay Packers, who dropped to 4-5-1 after a loss in Seattle. Panic or patience? Christian.
Let's keep that patience music rolling. I like that. I think the Packers, they could win 5. They might have to win their last 6. But I think they can win their last 6. All right, listen to 4 of their last 6, all right? Cardinals at home, Falcons at home, Jets away, Lions at home. I don't think you should panic about any of those games. They have 2 road games against the Vikings and the Bears that will likely determine if they make it or not. But Aaron Rodgers, he's still the king of the NFC North, and I don't think you should panic about trying to be division rival. So I don't think Green Bay is going to win their last 6, but it's still patience. It still could happen. And if they lose next week to Minnesota, it is panic time. But for now, let's keep that patience music.
Jonathan.
You need to cue that panic music, Hanley. There we go. That's not music, but it's our panic noise. 4-5-1 Packers record. Rodgers, I think he's the best target that Rodgers has with his pretty weak wide receiver and tight end crew. Jimmy Graham, his tight end, has broken his thumb, and we're a little bit unsure about how much time he'll miss. They're 2 games behind first place, technically. They have 2 less wins. Then Chicago and 2 less losses than Chicago. Then they got that tie. But they got to play at Minnesota versus Atlanta and at Chicago. Do I think they can go into Chicago and win? I'm not banking on them winning that game. They tied Minnesota and Green Bay. So logically, if things go logically, they'll lose that game in Minnesota. And Atlanta, they cannot count on winning that game. So if they lose all 3 of those games and win the rest of them, that puts them at 7-8-1, if my math is right. And I don't think, in the NFC, that's not good enough to make the playoffs. Without winning their division, it's going to be hard for them to get that wild card spot because you got teams like Panthers and Atlanta.
All right.
That they can potentially make that wild card. And there's so many good teams in the NFC, like Vikings and Bears, so it's time to panic for Green Bay.
Last, we have the defending Super Bowl champion, Philadelphia Eagles, at a disappointing 4-5 record. Panic or patience? Christian.
Let's do the panic. Let's do the panic right now. The Eagles right now might be the front runner for the most disappointing team this year if that was an award. And they just lost to the plummeting Dallas Cowboys. They have not beaten a team with a winning record all year. But it gets worse. Okay, so like the Packers and the Dolphins, if they lose twice, they're going to have a really hard time beating it. The difference between them and the Packers and the Dolphins is the Packers and the Dolphins should be favored to win the rest of their games, and the Eagles should be favored to win one. So that the one they should win is home to the Giants. Listen to the other 6. At Saints, Redskins, at Cowboys, at Rams, Texans, and at Redskins. They're not going to win 5 of those 6. So I think it's really an easy call. They're not making the playoffs. I mean, come on.
Right, Jonathan?
You know what? Let's hear that patience music.
Oh, come on.
That soothing
No.
that soothing melody that we got there. The only reason that if they were in any other division, it is time to cue that panic. It's not music. Don't call it that panic music. That's a loud noise. The reason that they can be patient is because they can lose to the Saints and the Rams, and be at 9-7, which for their pretty trash NFC East division is good enough to win. Because Washington has Houston this Sunday. I think I'm gonna pick Houston to win that game. They got Jacksonville. They do have to go into.
They should win that.
They
Jacksonville. Jacksonville is terrible.
Hold on, but it is in Jacksonville. They can't bank on that. They have to go into Philadelphia once. They have to play Philadelphia once at home, and on Thanksgiving this Thursday they do need to play Dallas in Dallas. So there's a lot of tough games for Washington left. 9-7 can definitely win the division. They can't count on that because Washington can still be 10-6 or better. They can be 13-3 if they play well for the rest of the way. I'm not gonna choose them to go 13-3, but they're the defending champs. Carson Wentz, he's a great quarterback, best quarterback in his division. He can get it together, cue his guys, and make it into
Alright,
this
let's
playoffs.
move on. Moving on from that segment, the Duke Blue Devils have risen from 4th to 1st in the college basketball top 25 and dominated Kentucky, who is then ranked 2nd, 118-84. Will they easily win the national championship? Jonathan.
I have a quick question for you. Are you feeling a bit under the weather today?
I'm fine.
You are? Okay, good. Your voice is a little bit off. I didn't know if you good?
Yeah.
Great. Well, it's not an easy route for Duke because it's never been an easy route for any team in college basketball history. We've seen teams like Fab Five lose. I know the Chris Webber incident happened, but that was considered one of the best college basketball teams in the history of the sport, and it didn't happen because of March Madness and its brutal, it's brutal requirements in order to get that championship. I do think Duke is the favorite though, because honestly nobody's even close to them right now. You saw Kentucky, which was Duke and Kentucky were the 2 best recruiting classes, and that's as big of a drop off it is. I mean, did you see that game? I mean, Duke just made them look silly, and was at the time the number 2 team in the country. That's the 2nd best recruiting class, and they just made them look like fools. That's how good Duke is, and that's how good these freshmen are, like Williamson, who is an absolute beast. 280 plus pounds, some 40-inch vertical. I mean, the dude's giant, and he's going to be a great star in the NBA someday. But the key to Duke winning this year is they can't get cocky. We saw what happened to the number 1 team in seed, UVA, last year. They got confident. They started looking too far ahead into some teams they were going to play, and then they got knocked out by UMC, which was very embarrassing. But Duke's definitely the best team right now in the nation, and they will win if they don't act like they're that much better than everybody else. If they play their best every single game, give it everything they got, and they just focus on what is right in front of them and not look too far ahead, they can definitely win this year.
Right, Christian?
Said it all there. I mean, they're the favorite.
I did, didn't I? Thank you.
What they did to Kentucky was mind blowing. I mean, this isn't Western Kentucky. This isn't Eastern Kentucky.
Yup.
This is UK we're talking about. Who is always contending for a championship, one of the most successful programs in college basketball history, and they put 118 points on them. I mean, that's just embarrassing. Like, when's the last time you heard someone get 118 points in college basketball? It's just not done.
I have to go
that's
back.
That's like an NBA score.
I know.
The three.
Some NBA teams can't even get that
Yeah.
on their good nights.
The 3 freshmen, Barrett, Williamson, and Reddish, are an absolute show. With that being said, I don't think they will run away with it for 2 reasons. Number 1, it's early. A lot of things change between November and March. A team that looks invincible at the start of the season might not be as good at the end. Number 2, it's called March Madness for a reason. Winning 6 out of 6 in the NCAA tournament isn't easy, and I mean, just ask Duke, because we've seen them get upset in the first round in recent years by teams like Mercer and Lehigh. That's not, and while Duke is talented, they are inexperienced. Duke has established themselves as the team to beat, though, and they have as good a chance as anyone.
All right, let's move on.
Sorry, that it's too early point was really good. We could have possibly misjudged Kentucky, and Kentucky.
That's true.
They could have.
They were struggling with like Southern Illinois.
Right. Yeah. So we could have completely misjudged
that's
Kentucky,
true.
and if Duke, I mean, don't look at that game too close. I mean, it was definitely a good win, but we could have definitely misjudged Kentucky. I need to see them against another great team in order to really judge
All right,
them.
let's move on. Okay, let me remind you guys that both of these guys' NFL predictions are 8-1. They are tied, and this next prediction will count for it. The Kansas City Chiefs and Los Angeles Rams play Monday night in LA. Both teams are 9-1. Christian, who you got in this one?
Well, this is going to be a shootout, and it could be one of those games where the last team to have the ball wins it. The Rams are the favorite to win, but they haven't been as dominant lately. They are 2-1 in their last 3, but if you combine the scores, they've actually been outscored by 3 points. But I do get why the Rams are the favorite. It's in LA. I'm just gonna say, like, the Chiefs' D is stepping up though. I mean, they've only allowed an average of 17 points in the last 4, and
against some pretty bad opponents.
Still, have you seen the Chiefs' defense before that? I mean, they've improved, even if it's against.
Well, they've improved from literally being terrible. But keep going.
Yeah. But I also think that Showtime Mahomes is gonna show up in LA. Give me the Chiefs.
Ooh. Oh, that hurts me. I cannot go against the Rams in Los Angeles. First of all, let me say that the NFL should probably be a bit embarrassed for this kind of Mexico incident. If they really want to go globally, they're talking about getting teams in Canada, Britain, some teams southern the United States border, maybe Mexico. And this was the best game of all of NFL regular season, and we were going to finally show them what a true NFL product is like. And then this happens. I know it was some problems with Mexico's field, but it's an embarrassment. Now let me get to this. Prediction. The Rams offense has scored more than 29 points at home in every game. The Kansas City defense is weak, even though they've improved. But they've improved. Saying that they've improved is saying like, you know, a 2-year-old's improved its handwriting. Like it wasn't that great.
Well, they're 9-1 though. With that defense,
because they have the best. They have one of the best offenses in the league.
So you add a defense that's gone from bad to mediocre, and I mean.
And you got a Los Angeles offense that I would call the best in the league, and they've got a mediocre. I would say they're the best in the league. Their defense is not going to be able to stop Los Angeles. LA's got the 12th man on offense and on defense. I'm taking the Rams significantly in this game.
We'll see what happens. We're gonna break the tie right here.
All right, now let me go ahead and say this. Y'all remember when we celebrated my birthday? Well, Christian's birthday happened recently, but we really we weren't able to fit it in the show. And for his birthday gift, he asked that we start doing this special segment at the end of every show called FaceTime. 30 seconds, us two, we get to say whatever we want. Christian, FaceTime, go.
Let's give it up for the Citadel, who I might have heard his name 2 times in my 15 years of life. I mean, I didn't even know they had a football team. Well, the best score that anyone had against Alabama this year going into halftime was a top 10 team, LSU, down by 16. But the Citadel, an FCS school with a losing record, was tied with Alabama 10-10 at the half. 10-10. And Alabama fans didn't even want Tua to play at all because they were afraid he'd get hurt, but it was tied at the half. I mean, yeah, they got outscored 40-7 in the second half, but, I mean, who cares?
Good FaceTime. Well, everybody, Thursday is Thanksgiving. And for this Thanksgiving, everybody has something to be thankful for, whether it's your friends, your family. You may be thankful that I'm here on this show in order to set things straight and give you, the viewers, correct sports analysis. If you're me, you're thankful that Shannon got you in for this great-looking haircut this morning. Or, like any other day, you're thankful for your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. This Thanksgiving, I not only challenge you to think about what you're thankful for, but I want you to act thankfully. Every year when it's your turn to say what you're thankful for at the dinner table at Thanksgiving, you always say family because it's the first thing that's on your mind. and you don't want to get that awkward look from your Aunt Sue or your Uncle Rob or your cousin's boyfriend who you think you're on his good side, but you're not quite sure, so you give him the rest of your pumpkin pie after dinner, and then it turns out he's allergic to pumpkin pie, and he has the allergic reaction, so because of that, you're not on his good side, and you get those weird looks for the rest of the night, and for the rest of your life that you see your cousin's boyfriend. But anyways, this year I want you to be thankful for people. Everybody has something that they're good at and that they're special about. No matter race, gender, political party, everybody has something that is special about them. And we all need to be thankful about that this year. If we're thankful about that, if we're thankful for each other and each other's gifts, this world can be a much better place. God bless everybody and have a happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.